Thank you for listening to Coffee Pod. For more information and resources, visit www.coffeepodpodcast.com. Coffee Pod is produced by Rhonda Raxter. All rights reserved. Hey there, welcome to Coffee Pod, the place where we spill truth, not just tea, and take our healing journey one brutally honest conversation at a time. I'm Rhonda, I'm your host, and today we're digging into something that hits hard and deep, trauma bonding. This one's going to hurt in all the right ways. If you've ever felt stuck, obsessed, or addicted to someone who treats you like shit but still has a hold on your soul, congrats, you might have been trauma bonded. Let's talk about what the hell that means, how it happens, and most importantly, how the hell you break free. So grab your coffee, or hell, your whiskey, whatever gets you through. Let's go. Welcome back to Coffee Pod, the place where we sip slow, reflect deeply, and show up for ourselves one brave conversation at a time. I'm your host, Rhonda, and today we're diving into something that quietly holds people captive in toxic dynamics far longer than they want to stay, trauma bonding. This episode might be a little tender if you've ever felt stuck in a relationship that hurt, but also somehow felt necessary or even addictive. You're not alone, and you're not broken. There's a reason for that feeling, and there's a way out. So grab your coffee, your tea, your moment of peace, and let's get into it. What the hell is trauma bonding? Let's break it down real simple. Trauma bonding is an emotional attachment formed through repeated cycles of abuse, devaluation, and positive reinforcement. In plain English, it's when your brain gets addicted to the highs and lows of a toxic relationship. Think of it like this. They hurt you, then they love you. They reel you back in. You go from crying on the bathroom floor to thinking, maybe this time it'll be different. In your brain, it's eating it up like crack. This isn't just in romantic relationships. Trauma bonds can happen with parents, bosses, siblings, friends, children. Anyone who plays push and pull with your emotions and messes with your sense of self. Key traits of trauma bond. You feel addicted to a relationship even though it hurts. You defend their behavior even when it's awful. You have moments of clarity, then get sucked back in. You make excuses for them, for the chaos, for your pain. And no, you're not weak. You're wired. Trauma bonds hijack your nervous system and turn your survival instincts against you. Trauma bonding is a psychological response where a person forms an unhealthy attachment to someone who is causing them harm, often rooted in cycles of abuse followed by intermittent reinforcement of affection. This is how it shows up. On again, off again relationships, intense highs and lows, feeling addicted to making it work. Here's a metaphor. It's like drinking salt water when you're dying of thirst. You keep reaching for what you think will soothe you, but it only dehydrates you more. Here's a reflection. Think about a relationship that made you feel both incredible and invisible. That whiplash, that's the glue of a trauma bond. So, you want to know how it starts? Trauma bonding usually starts with a bang. Stage 1, ideation. They sweep you off your damn feet. You feel seen, loved, maybe for the first time in a long time. You're in a dopamine heaven. Stage 2, devaluation. The shift happens. Subtle at first, jabs, ghosting, mood swings, hot and cold. You're confused, but you want that first version of them back. Stage 3, intermittent reinforcement. Here's the trap. They hurt you, then apologize. You cry, they hug you. You threaten to leave, they beg you to stay and work on it. This is the yo-yo that keeps you hooked. Your body gets addicted to the pattern. The highs feel like love, the lows feel like death. And you think walking away means losing your soulmate, not escaping your prison. So why do we stay? Trauma bonding is a complex psychological and neurobiological phenomenon that arises in abusive or toxic relationships, often characterized by cycles of intense emotional connection followed by harm. Here's a breakdown of the neurobiology behind it. So the key brain structures involved, the amygdala, I have a hard time saying it, which is your fear center. It's hyperreactive in trauma survivors, acting like a smoke detector on overdrive. It triggers fear responses even in safe situations, reinforcing emotional dependency. Then you have your hippocampus, which is your memory encoding. Trauma can shrink its volume and impair its function, leads to fragmented memories and difficulty distinguishing past from present. And your prefrontal cortex, which is your executive function, often suppressed during trauma, reducing rational decision making and impulse control. There's also the stress response, which is the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal HPA axis. It releases stress hormones like cortisol and epinephrine and norepinephrine. Chronic trauma dysregulates the system, causing hypervigilance and poor emotional regulation. So you have your endogenous opioids released during trauma to numb pain, can impair memory consolidation, and it may contribute to emotional numbing and flat affect. Then your oxytocin is your bonding hormone, of course, which normally promotes trust and bonding. In trauma, it can paradoxically reinforce attachment to the abuser even when the relationship is harmful. There's a quote I'd like to say from psychologist Patrick Carnes described trauma bonding as the misuse of fear, excitement, and sexual feelings to entrap a person. You have your dopamine reward system. Dopamine surges released during moments of affection and consolidation in abusive cycles creates a high that reinforces the bond, similar to addiction. The brain begins to associate intermittent rewards with emotional survival. Addiction-like cycle, the intermittent reinforcement, love bombing followed by abuse, mimics the reward pattern seen in substance addiction. Victims may chase the dopamine hit of reconsolidation, deepening the trauma bond. So the neurochemical imbalance of it all would be the neurotransmitter dopamine, which is your motivation and reward, and it reinforces the effect would be it reinforces the attachment to the abuser. Cortisol, which is your stress hormone, the effect would be it impairs memory, increases anxiety. Oxytocin, which is your bonding and trust, obviously, the effect would be it strengthens emotional ties even in abuse. The endogenous opioids, the role in trauma bonding would be pain relief and memory inhibition, and the effect would be emotional numbing. Then the neurotransmitter serotonin, the role in trauma bonding for it would be mood regulation, and the effect would be low levels linked to depression, emotional instability. Why it's so hard to break is the brain becomes conditioned to expect danger and reward in close proximity. Emotional highs and lows create a biochemical roller coaster. Rational thoughts is often overridden by survival instincts and neurochemical cravings. Now, there's healing. You can heal from this. There is healing. We'll talk about that in just a little while. Let's talk science. Your brain is literally hijacked. That's why it's so damn hard to leave. Your cortisol and adrenaline flood your system during the abuse. Dopamine and oxytocin come in when they love bomb you. You're in a twisted chemical soup and your body thinks this is normal. Also, let's not ignore trauma from your past. If you grew up walking on eggshells, over-explaining, or managing someone else's moods, you've been trained for this. Trauma bonding isn't just happening now. It's echoing old wounds and shame. Shame keeps you quiet, keeps you stuck. But you don't want to admit that this love is slowly killing you. You keep hoping, waiting, justifying. This isn't weakness. This is trauma. Now, if this is you, if you've stayed, you're surviving, you're not failing. So here are some real life signs that you may be in a trauma bonding relationship. You make excuses for their behavior, even when it hurts. You feel like you can't leave, even if you want to. You crave validation from the person who is hurting you. You ignore the rational red flags. Usually listening to inspired hypothetical examples would say, let's say you're in a relationship where they gaslight you on Monday, but then they call you their world on Thursday. Pause for a self-check moment. How does your body feel hearing these examples? Tense? Numb? That's information. Hey, if this is hitting a nerve, you're not alone. Trauma bonding is more common than anyone wants to admit, and it thrives in silence. But not here. You're in a space where your pain has a voice and your healing is sacred. If this episode is bringing stuff up for you, pause if you need to, take a breath, sip your drink. We've got more truth coming your way. Now, there are suggested trigger warnings: abuse, emotional, psychological, and possibly physical. We'll be discussing patterns often rooted in abusive dynamics, which can be activating, gaslighting, and manipulation. Mentioning specific behaviors might bring up difficult memories for some listeners. Toxic or codependent relationships. Content may revisit painful interpersonal experiences, including unhealthy family or romantic bonds. Mental health struggles, trauma responses, attachment wounds. Although approached with care, these subjects can surface anxiety or distress. And we will be right back for the second half of this. I hope everybody's okay and everybody feels safe. Okay, we're back, and let's just go over this one more time. Signs that you're trauma bonded. Here's what it really looks like. You feel panic at the idea of leaving, but miserable when you stay. You minimize what they've done. You say, but they've been through a lot. They didn't mean it. You isolate yourself to protect the relationship. You don't recognize yourself anymore. Your light's dimmed. Here's one that really stings. You know it's toxic, but you're still waiting for them to change. Sweetheart, if they were capable of being that person consistently, they already would be. So now let's talk about breaking the bond. So education equals empowerment. Learning what's happening in your nervous system is a step toward freedom. The importance of a no contact or limited contact, rebuilding your sense of self-worth, creating safety emotionally, physically, financially. Now, all right, this is the part that really matters: getting the hell out. Step 1, get clear on what's real. Start writing down what's actually happening. Facts, not feelings. You need to see the truth in black and white because your brain will romanticize the chaos. Step 2, cut the contact or cut it down hard. This is the withdrawal phase. It will suck. You will feel empty. You will want to reach out. Don't. That's the bond screaming. Sit with it. Let it pass. Step 3, replace the addiction. Healthy routines, safe people, therapy, journaling, movement. You need to rewire your nervous system. Get bored, get quiet, let your body unlearn the drama. Grieve. Grieve the dream. Grieve the fantasy. Grieve the parts of yourself that were lost in that relationship. It's okay to miss someone who hurt you. That doesn't mean you go back. Rage. Then rise. Anger is not your enemy. Use it. Let it fuel your healing. Say, I deserved better and I will never settle for scraps again. You don't break trauma bond with logic. You break it with action. One painful empowerment step at a time. Healing from trauma bond doesn't just free you from a person. It returns you to yourself. That's what Coffee Pot is about. So if you're walking this path, keep walking. You're not alone. You're not overreacting, and you don't need their permission to choose peace. If this resonated, share it with a friend, leave a review. Let's get these conversations into the hands and hearts that need them. Trauma bonds are brutal. They lie to you. They make you think survival is love, chaos is passion, and pain is loyalty. But here's the truth. You're not crazy. You're not broken. You're waking up, and waking up is messy. You can leave. You can heal. You can learn to love yourself enough to never get trapped like that again. You don't need them to become whole. You were never broken. So this season on Coffee Pod, we're not just talking, we're transforming. I've created something special just for you, a gentle guide and mini meditation to help you rebuild trust in yourself after the trauma. Because healing isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a whisper, a choice, a soft yes to your truth. And I want you to have the tools to help you come home to that truth over and over again. So, the mini meditation, Coming Home to Trust, is a quiet invitation to breathe, reconnect, and remember who you are beneath the bruises. These are for the days when you doubt yourself, the nights you need grounding, and the mornings you're ready to begin again. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to take one breath, one truth, one act of care at a time. And I'm right here beside you with softness and strength. And the reason it matters, trust is the foundation of every healthy relationship, including the one you have with yourself. After betrayal, manipulation, or trauma, that foundation may crack, but not break. You can rebuild it softly, daily, honestly. Rebuilding trust in yourself after trauma is like learning to walk again on ground that once gave away beneath you. It's tender, slow, and deeply courageous. Here's a layered approach you can share or use personally to guide others through the sacred process. So, number one, start with self awareness, not self blame. Name the rupture. Acknowledge what broke your trust. Was it ignoring red flags, staying too long, or being manipulated? Normalize the response. Trauma hijacks your nervous system. You didn't fail, you adapted. A gentle mantra. I did what I had to do to survive. Now I get to choose differently. Understand the cycle to disrupt it. Name the pattern. Recognize the cycle of abuse, affection, confusion, hope, abuse again. Educate the nervous system. Trauma bonds are reinforced by dopamine spikes and cortisol crashes. Understanding this helps you reduce shame and self blame. A good journal prompt would be, what do I believe I'm getting from this relationship that I can't give myself? You have to get honest as fuck with yourself. Before you can leave, you need clarity. And clarity doesn't come from your feelings, it comes from facts. Make a list of everything they did to hurt you, no sugarcoating. Don't include, but they were going through a lot, or I was hard to love. That's the trauma talking. Keep the list close. You're going to need it when you miss them. Call this list the receipts. Every time your brain romanticizes them, pull it out and read it out loud. Write down exactly what they did, no sugarcoating. Make a list of red flags and harm, aka the receipts. Keep it where you can see it when you're tempted to go back. Number two, reconnect with your body. Trauma often disconnects us from our physical cues. Try somatic practices, breath work, yoga, grounding exercises. Ask, what does a yes feel like in my body? What does a no feel like? This rebuilds your interpersonal compass, your internal compass, I'm sorry. Create distance emotionally and physically. No contact or low contact. This is often the most effective way to break the biochemical loop. Block, mute, or unfollow. Not out of spite, but for survival. Remove reminders. Photos, gifts, even playlists can retrigger the bond. Distance isn't cruelty, it's clarity. Number three, rebuild identity and autonomy. Reconnect with yourself. Who were you before the bond? What did you love, believe, or dream? Some daily rituals, small acts of self trust, like making your bed or choosing your outfit, rebuild agency. Affirmations. I am not who they said I was. I am who I choose to become. Keep promises to yourself, even the tiny ones. Start small. I'll drink water before coffee, or I'll journal for 5 minutes. Each follow through is a vote of confidence in yourself. Track them in a self trust journal to see your consistency. Number four, anchor in support systems. Therapy, especially trauma informed or somatic based approaches. Support groups. Hearing Me Too can be a lifeline. Safe people. Even one validating friend can disrupt the isolation that trauma bonds thrive in. Reframe mistakes as data, not defects. Instead of, I can't believe I let that happen, try, what did that experience teach me about my needs, boundaries, or patterns? Self trust grows when you learn from pain, not punish yourself for it, which is so easy to do. Number five, let safe relationships mirror you. Healing happens in connection. Let others reflect your worth back to you. Choose people who are consistent, kind, and non judgmental. Practice vulnerability in small doses, then notice how it feels. Replace the bond with something healthier. New sources of dopamine, movement, creativity, nature, laughter. Healthy attachments, pets, mentors, spiritual practices, anything that offers connection without chaos. Purpose. Channel the pain into something meaningful, like something that means something to you. Number six, create a trust toolkit. include a list of your values, grounding techniques, affirmations like, I trust myself to handle what comes, a letter from your future self reminding you of your strength. Expect grief, not just relief. You may miss them. That doesn't mean you made the wrong choice. Grieve the fantasy. Often we're mourning who hoped they'd be. Honor the loss. Write a goodbye letter. Burn it, bury it, release it. Number 7, give yourself time. Trust isn't a light switch, it's a garden. You water it with patience, boundaries, and grace. Some days you'll feel strong, others you'll wobble. Both are part of the process. Safety planning if needed. If the relationship involves threats, stalking, or violence, include a safety plan, legal resources, crisis hotlines, and shelters. According to the Wellness Society, being present with your body and emotions is a foundational step in rebuilding trust. And Psychology Today emphasizes the most that post-traumatic growth often begins with small, consistent acts of self-compassion and connection. I hope you all getting something from this. There's much more I'd like to talk about. The healing process of it all and how that's possible. Healing from trauma bonds involves rewiring the brain's stress and reward system, restoring emotional regulation, and rebuilding a sense of safety. Neurobiologically, this process taps into the neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change and adapt in response to new experiences. Here's how healing can reverse the effects of trauma bonding. Phase 1, safety and nervous system stabilization. Regulating the autonomic nervous system. Techniques like breathwork, grounding, or vagus nerve stimulation, humming, gentle movement help shift the body from a fight-to-flight state to a calm, socially engaged state. These practices increase ventral vagal tone, which supports emotional regulation and connection. Mindfulness and emotional regulation strengthens the prefrontal cortex, allowing better control over impulse reactions and fear-driven behaviors. It helps reduce amygdala hyperactivity and restore balance in the HPA axis. So there's the EMDR, the eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, facilitates memory reconsolidation, helping the brain reprocess traumatic memories without triggering intense emotional responses. Somatic therapies engage the body's stored trauma throughout movement, sensation, and interoception, awareness, and state of internal states. Reconnects fragmented emotional and physical experiences, especially useful for those with dissociation. Internal family systems, IFS, and sensory motor psychotherapy helps integrate parts of the self that were split off during trauma, restoring a cohesive sense of identity and agency. Internal family systems, IFS. I think that should be talked about more, and people should know more about that. The neurochemical dopamine has a healing effect. It restores healthy reward pathways. And how to support it would be consistent self-care, meaningful goals, and creative expression. Cortisol reduces chronic stress. And how to support that would be sleep hygiene, trauma-enforced therapy, safe relationships. Oxytocin promotes safe bonding. How to support that would be supportive social connections, pets, therapeutic touch. Serotonin stabilizes mood. And the way to support that would be nutrition, movement, SSRIs if needed, and mindfulness. GABA, which calms your neural activity. The way to support that would be yoga, meditation, and breath work. The brain can rewire itself through repeated, safe, empowering experiences. You don't have to stay stuck. Healing relationships create outlets, and trauma-informed therapy fosters new neural pathways that replace survival-based patterns with trust, autonomy, and joy. Psychoeducation helps survivors understand their symptoms are physiological, not moral failings, which reduces shame and increases engagement in healing, which is so important. Some people they don't understand that they can heal from this and then get past it. Attachment theory developed by John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth explains how early relationships with caregivers shape our patterns of connection in adulthood. 2 key insecure attachment styles, anxious and avoidant, often show up in romantic relationships, friendships, even in work dynamics. The anxious attachment, which core fear would be abandonment or rejection. Behavioral traits would be craves closeness and constant reassurance, highly sensitive to emotional shifts in others, may become clingy or overly dependent. The origin of it often develops from inconsistent caregiving, sometimes nurturing, sometimes withdrawn, leading to uncertainty about love and safety. The avoidant attachment. Core fear there would be loss of autonomy or being overwhelmed by intimacy. The behavior traits would be values independence and self sufficiency, struggles with emotional vulnerability, may withdraw or shut down when others get too close. The origin would that be typically arises from emotionally distant or unresponsive caregivers where the child learns to rely on themselves, only on themselves. Why they often attract each other. The anxious person seeks closeness while the avoidant person resists it, creating a push-pull dynamic. Each may unconsciously seek traits they lack. The anxious person admires the avoidant's independence, while the avoidant may be drawn to the anxious person's emotional expressiveness. But without healing, this pairing can lead to a cycle of pursuit and withdrawal, leaving both the partners feeling misunderstood and unsatisfied. There's some self-discovery exercises that help readers identify with their dominant style. There's a My Caregiver Mirror, reflect on early caregiving patterns and how they shaped relationships and beliefs. Rewriting the script, guided journal to reframe core fears like I am too much, my emotions are valid and welcome. Healing practices for anxious attachment, mirror affirmations, I am safe when I am alone. Boundary setting scripts, nervous system regulation tools. For avoidant attachment, vulnerability challenges, share one fear with a trusted person. Connection rituals, weekly check-ins with a friend. Inner dialogue work to soften self-protection. Since this theme centers on transformation and emotional depth, you could subtly reflect attachment healing in your visuals. The butterfly imagery symbolizes metamorphosis, perfect for shifting from insecure to secure attachment. Pastel color palette. Soft tones evoke safety and emotional warmth, ideal for anxious types seeking comfort. Clean, spacious design appeals to avoidant types who value clarity and autonomy. Childhood wounds are deep emotional injuries formed during emotional early development, often from the neglect, rejection, abandonment, or inconsistent caregiving. These wounds shape who we see ourselves, others, and the world, and they often manifest as attachment patterns, self-sabotage, or emotional reactivity in adulthood. The role of familiarity, why we repeat what hurts us. One of the most powerful and paradoxical forces behind childhood wounds is familiarity. Here's how it works. Familiar equals safe, even when it's harmful. The brain is wired to seek predictability. If chaos, criticism, or emotional distance were part of our early environment, your nervous system may interpret those patterns as normal. As adults, we unconsciously gravitate toward relationships or situations that mirror our early wounds because they feel familiar, even if they're painful. Repetition compulsion. Coined by Freud, this concept describes how we recreate early trauma in an attempt to resolve it. For example, someone with an abandonment wound may choose emotionally unavailable partners, hoping this time they'll stay, trying to rewrite the original story. Neurobiological loop. Familiar emotional patterns activate old neural pathways formed in childhood. Until we consciously intervene, the brain defaults to these pathways, reinforcing the same beliefs. I am not enough. Love is conditional. I have to earn safety. Common childhood wounds. The wound of rejection. The core belief formed would be I am not lovable. The adult impact would be fear of intimacy, self-sabotage. The abandonment wound. The core belief formed there will I'll always be left. Adult impact is clinginess, anxiety in relationships. The wound of humiliation, the core belief formed as I am not worthy. The adult impact is shame, people pleasing. The wound of betrayal, the core belief formed there would be I can't trust. The adult impact would be control issues, hypervigilance. Injustice wound, the core belief there would be I don't matter. And the adult impact would be perfectionism, resentment. So breaking the familiar cycle, healing. Awareness. Naming the wound is the first step. Journaling, therapy, and inner child work help uncover the original pain. Repatterning. Through safe relationships, somatic healing, and self-compassion, we create a new emotional experiences that feel unfamiliar but healthy. Neuroplasticity. The brain can rewire itself. Repeated exposure to safety, love, and boundaries builds new pathways that override the old ones. The pain and confusion of childhood wounds, especially when they show up in adult relationships, is profound. It's not just emotional, it's existential. It shakes your sense of reality, identity, and worth. Let's unpack that with care and clarity. The pain, living with unseen scars. You love deeply, but it feels unsafe. You crave closeness, yet every time someone pulls away, it feels like you're being abandoned all over again. The pain isn't just about the present moment, it's the echo of every time you were left, dismissed, or made to feel invisible. You feel too much or not enough. These wounds distort your self perception. You might overfunction in relationships trying to earn love or underfunction, withdrawing to protect yourself. Either way, it's exhausting. You betray yourself to keep others close. Saying yes when you mean no, shrinking your truth to avoid conflict. There are survival strategies learned in childhood. These are survival strategies learned in childhood, but they cost you your authenticity. The confusion. When familiar feels like love. You're drawn to what hurts. You know someone is emotionally unavailable, but you feel magnetized to them. Why? Because your nervous system recognizes the pattern. It's familiar. Familiarity feels like love even when it's toxic. You question your reality. Was it really that bad? Maybe I'm overreacting. This self-doubt is often rooted in gaslighting or emotional neglect. When your feelings weren't validated as a child, you learn to mistrust your own instincts. You confuse intensity with intimacy. High highs and low lows mimic the emotional roller coaster of early attachment wounds. Calm, steady love might feel boring or suspicious because your baseline was chaos. Why it hurts so deeply. These wounds live in the limbic system, not just the mind. That's why logic doesn't fix it. You can know someone is wrong for you, but you still feel addicted to the emotional cycle. They're tied to your core identity. When love was conditional, you internalize the belief, I must change to be loved. Healing means unraveling that, and it's disorienting. A gentle refrain. You're not broken, you're patterned, and patterns can be rewritten. The pain and confusion are signals, not weaknesses, but of a nervous system trying to protect you with outdated maps. Healing is a process of drawing new ones slowly with compassion. Why we think love must be earned. The belief that love must be earned is one of the most painful legacies of childhood wounds and one of the most powerful illusions to break. True love, especially the kind that heals, is not transactional. It's not a reward for perfection, performance, or pleasing others. It's a birthright. Conditional caregiving. If love was given only when you behaved, succeeded, or suppressed your emotions, you learned that affection is conditional. You internalize the message, I must be good to be loved. Cultural and religious conditioning. Many systems teach that love must be deserved through obedience, purity, or achievement. This can create deep shame and a lifelong chase for approval, abandonment, and rejection. When someone leaves or withholds affection, especially in formative years, it can feel like a verdict. I wasn't enough. That belief becomes a blueprint for future relationships. The truth, love is not earned. You were lovable the moment you existed. You didn't have to do anything to deserve love as a baby, and that truth never changed. The conditions were imposed by wounded people, not by love itself. Unconditional love is not passive, it's powerful. It says, I see your humanity, your flaws, your fears, and I choose connection anyway. It doesn't mean tolerating harm, but it does mean releasing the belief that you must perform to be worthy. Healing begins when you stop auditioning. When you stop shrinking, pleasing, or proving yourself to earn love, you reclaim your wholeness. You begin to attract relationships that reflect your true worth, not your wounds. Releasing the pain. Affirmation. I do not earn love. I am worthy of love simply because I exist. Reflection prompt. When did I first believe I had to earn love? What did I do to try to deserve it? What would it feel like to be loved without conditions? Let's practice. Let someone see you in your raw, unpolished state and stay. Offer yourself compassion when you fail or fall short. Notice when you're performing and gently ask, what am I afraid will happen if I stop? This theme would be stunning. So these are just some notes that I had put together and I wanted to share with y'all. I believe if there's somebody that needs to hear this, I hope they hear it and I hope they know that they are in a safe place and that It's okay. It's okay to, it's okay to just be yourself. You're not flawed. You've had a lot of trauma. Thanks for hanging with me today. If this episode gave you clarity or the kick you needed, share it with someone still stuck. Spread the real talk and help more people untangle the lies. You're too smart to stay stuck. Powered by Rage, healing, and strong as coffee. See you next time on